we're going to be looking at the related rate second part review. So here it goes. So here we have a rectangle, and dx dt is 1/5. That's what we see right over here. And dl dt is 1/2 of dw dt. Now they gave us the length is equal to 8 right over here, and width is equal to 6. That tells us that x must be equal to 10 right away. And we want to find out dl dt. So let's try to write this one together. So first we could write this one as L squared plus W squared is equal to X squared. So when we take the derivative against time in all three variables, we'll end up getting 2L dl dt, which is what we are looking for, plus 2W dw dt, which we have relationship right over here. Must be equal to 2x dx dt. Now, here we have 2's can all cancel out. And we know the value of L, W, X. So in fact, L will be equal to 8 dl dt. W is plus 6 times, but dw dt, in fact, if you multiply by 2 on each side, then you will realize that dw dt must be equal to 2 times dl dt. So this we can rewrite this one as 2 times dl dt, which is equal to x equals 10, and dx dt will be 1/5. Alright, so then we can combine these two things together, because this is 8 and this is 12. We end up getting 20 dl dt is equal to here 2. And we get to realize dl dt must be equal to 1/10. Alright, let us move on to the next question. Number 8. Here we have. So radius of the spherical ball. So we are looking at a ball decreasing. The radius is decreasing at the constant rate of 3 centimeters per second. So we realize here dr dt is equal to negative 3 centimeters per second. Now, find in cubic centimeters per second the rate of change of the volume. So we're looking at here, the question is dv dt, and the radius is equal to 5. So, in order for us to relate the volume and the radius, here we have v is equal to volume of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, when you take the derivative on each side, we get dv dt is equal to 4 pi r squared, because 3 came out, and then to cancel out the denominator 3, and we have dr dt. And if you have to plug in everything, 4 pi, here r equals 5, so 5 squared, and dr dt was equal to negative 3. Then our answer becomes here negative 300 pi. That's what dv dt is equal to. So choice D becomes our answer. Alright, let us look at the next question, number 9. So here we have water is going in, and then you see the cone. The cone, whenever we see a cone question, we have to realize that this contains an isosceles triangle. And then the container will determine the size of the, the ratio between the radius and then the height. So in fact, what I can do here is that if I have to connect through the middle, and we get to realize this is equal to 3, and the height becomes 9. So whenever we have water coming up, and we call this one as radius and height of the water, and we get to realize that r over h will be equal to 3 over 9. That is the relationship which we have to use. Now, water is poured into the cup at the rate of then this here we get to realize that dV dt is equal to 1 cubic meters per second. How fast the depth of the water increasing. So this basically talking about the dt of the water when the water is 4 inches deep. So h equals 4. Then let us try to look into this one, see what happens. Since the volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. Since in this case what we're looking at is h, so we can solve this one for r if we wanted to. Then we get to realize that r is equal to 1/3 h. So therefore, by putting this one in this location, we get to realize that 1/3 times pi 1/3 h square h, and when I simplify this one, we get 1/27 pi h cubed. That's what v is equal to. So when we take the derivative on each side, v dv dt then is equal to 1/9 pi h square dh dt. And we realize that dv dt is equal to 1, which is equal to 9, 1/9 pi, h was equal to 4, so 4 squared dh dt. And when I simplify this one, I'll end up getting 1 equals 16 pi/9 dh dt. So therefore dh dt will be equal to 9/16 pi. Alright, let us move on to next question. Number 10. Okay, so here we have circular pipe, a circular ripple caused by dropping of a stone. So we're talking about a circle. Is increasing it in area. So we are looking at dA dt here. At 20 square meters per second. 20 square meters per second. Alright, now determine how fast the radius. So in this case, we're looking at dr dt. That's the question mark. And then when the area is equal to 25 pi, now this implies that r has to be equal to 5. Then let us look into that. Since area is equal to pi r squared dA dt, then equals to pi r and dr dt. So as you plug in the values that we know of, and here we have dA dt is equal to 20, which is equal to 2 times pi times r equals 5 dr dt. Then we get to realize 20 is equal to 10 pi dr dt. Then we get to realize quite quickly dr dt is equal to 20 over 10 pi, which is equal to 2/pi. There it goes. Interesting. Now number 11. Street light is hung 18. So in this case, if you're to look into this one, let us say this is street light, and then we have a person 6 foot tall. Now, but one thing is, let us assume that I'm going to use I'm going to make it thicker, and this person. So let us say pink one is the person. If I put it right underneath of him, then it's very difficult for us to figure any relationship, because we don't see the like so. We don't see any shape. So what I'm going to do is, what if we move this person a bit ahead, then we get to see something like this. Now, then here, we get to see something quite nice because we see just another triangle. Then what we can do is, this is 6, the length of the height of the person, and this is 18, and the walks away at the rate of 3 feet per second. So the man is walking this way 3 feet per second. So what if I call this one as a distance and then this one is a shadow? What we end up getting is the ratio between them to determine, and this becomes, in fact, d dt is equal to 3 feet per second. How fast is the tip of the shadow? You see, the key word here is tip. Tip of the shadow, in fact, is moving because of two things. One is because shadow is growing, and second, because the person is moving at the same time. Then the relationship here, we get to realize that the tip of the shadow, the distance between tip and then the street light will be d plus s. If we take the derivative, then we get dt over d small t, which is equal to d dt plus ds dt. Now, but another thing which you get to realize is we have this relationship here. Second relationship is the smaller triangle to the big triangle, we get to realize 6 so 6 over 18. The ratio is s over x plus d. Then when you simplify this one, that becomes 1/3. Cross multiply, then you get to realize that s 3s is equal to s plus d. Hence, we get to realize that 2s is equal to d. And when you take the derivative, we get to realize that d dt that is equal to 2 times ds dt. So at this point, the man, d dt, is walking away 3 feet per second. So ds dt equals simply 1.5 by dividing by 2 on each side. And I think we get to realize what dt dt is, because after calculating everything from the bottom, we get to realize that dt dt is equal to d dt, which is 3 plus how the tip of the shadow moving will be 1.5. So in fact, total 4.5. So it is increasing at the 9/2 feet per second rate. All right, let's look at number 12. Conveyor belt is deposit sands into the conical pile. So conical pile, which we are looking at that as something like this. Now, at the rate of 36 cubic feet per minute, this implies dV dt is equal to 36. The height of the pile is always equal to the diameter of the pile. That means height is equal to diameter, which means height is equal to 2 times the radius. That's the relationship. And obviously you get to realize that dh dt, and then we can make the relationship here too. How fast is the height increasing? We're looking at dh dt then. Understand this 12 feet deep. All right, so let's try to find the volume first. Volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. Now, once again, since we are looking for dH dt, it would be great if you can get rid of r. Then here we have v is equal to 1/3 pi n h over 2 square h. Now here we have, if you to organize this one, so we have pi h cubed over 12. That is the simplified formula for the function, for the volume. Then we have dv dt, which we know that to be 36 earlier. In this case, must be 3 comes out, so we have pi h squared over 4 multiplied by dH dt. Now, dv dt, we realized that was equal to 36, which is equal to pi h squared over 4 and dH dt. But what's the value of h? H is equal to 12, so this becomes 36 is equal to 144 pi over 4. Then dH dt. Then we get to realize that dH dt then equals 4 times 36 becomes 144 over 144 pi, which is equal to 1 over pi simply. So 1 over pi becomes choice B. Now, number 13.